and sure grittiness.
It starts with an attitude. We need swagger, okay? Regardless of what happens out there. Doesn't matter. Keep your swagger.
Hey, welcome into the Five-Hole Fantasy Hockey Podcast. I am your solo host this afternoon, Alan. Jay is out traveling. It's just that time of the year. I am here with your Week 12 script, fresh off the press, nice and short. I figured this was the perfect show to just try and run it solo, keep things short and sweet for you, and you'll see why in a moment. I'm here with your teams and streams worth targeting, news and updates from around the league. Before we get going, though, I am just a boy streaming here in front of you, boys and girls, asking you, follow us on Twitter. You can join our Discord. Both are nice ways to get our ears directly. Perfect example. I just started playing Arc Raiders. I am okay at it. I enjoy the gameplay loop, but I could use some pointers on getting started. I feel like I'm just kind of treading water. Wouldn't mind hearing some pointers. But yeah, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and wherever you get your fine podcasts from. Just hopping straight into news here. A couple of trades that happened Friday. I touched on them in Sit Start Saturday, but had some time to look into other things. First trade is Philip Deneau goes from the LA Kings to the Montreal Canadiens. Only fantasy relevant piece there. No players went back. I think it was just picks. So I think the only thing here is if he was fantasy relevant to you on the Kings, he's probably slightly more fantasy relevant to you on the Canadiens. I think he only had 5 points on the season, if I remember. Yeah, 5 points in 30 games. Not that great. Again, probably wasn't fantasy relevant to you in most places. Unless those peripherals he was giving you made him fantasy relevant. But he wasn't that far removed from 55 point seasons with the Kings in 22-23. I see this is nice. I feel like this gives the Suzuki line the same thing that the Kings signed Deneau for back when he first signed that. I think it was a UFA contract. It's been so long ago, but it was only 5 years ago. They wanted to know as the defensive to eat the defensive faceoffs, the defensive minutes to free Kopitar up to not have to take every situation. So I'm hoping that this is kind of the same deal, that Deneau kind of sees more of, again, the defensive situations so that Suzuki doesn't have to do everything. That second line is more legitimate. And like I said on Tuesday, this is hopefully a big boost for Demidov, getting a real center. No offense to Oliver Kapanen, half a point per game guy, young guy. I'm sure, obviously, if you make it to the NHL, I think the statistic is you're in like the top 1% of players. So I'm sure he is very talented in his own right, but Philip Deneau, a man among boys, I'm sure is a much better player. Should get a huge boost for that second line, especially if they want to give Bolduc more of a run on that top line and give a second line of, which they've done lately, a second line of something like Slafkovsky, Deneau, Demidov, which Demidov's not been bad, but I think 61 points, I feel like there's a higher ceiling there. And then Deneau is a UFA after the 26-27 season, so there is a little bit of cost certainty. There's a little bit of term there for Montreal, which would be great. But yeah, I feel like fantasy relevance, he's probably committed to that 2C. I don't really see a path for him to get power play 1. Even giving Demidov power play 1 time was kind of a tall order. So I really don't see, without a ton of injuries, Deneau getting power play 1 there. Next up, came in very, very late Friday night, Mason Marchment to the Columbus Blue Jackets. This one, We do have a sample size of 1 for him on the Blue Jackets because he did play last night. He played 19 minutes, 41 seconds in his debut. He got a minute 10-ish, I think, of power play time. His power play 2, though, unfortunately. But I do see a path where he gets power play 1, maybe not even with any injuries. Only time will tell. He did have a goal, and he was playing line 1 with Adam Fantilli and Kent Johnson, which, yeah, that absolutely speaks like a line 1 to me. Yeah, and going into next week, not to spoil too much, but he could be, he's widely available, could be a um, nice medium term hold. But yeah, again, power play 2, probably a path for him to get into power play 1, which would only increase his value. Good God, I think what was he on? Only like I think maybe a 35-point pace. So hopefully sticks around in Columbus. Really gets going. Hopefully back up to like a 60, 65-point guy like we saw for him in Dallas. But other than that, not much to say. He really wasn't doing much in Seattle. Just they're not as much, definitely not the cast of characters that he was seeing around in Dallas. But moving on to injuries. So Seth Jarvis out for a while after, I don't know what he was doing. He just, failed to clear space for Evan Rodriguez's stick. And, he tripped himself up and just went into the goalpost. I don't know what he was thinking. And of course, the Department of Player Safety, crickets. Jackson Blake has moved up, at least on paper, up to his spot on line 1, power play 1. Obviously, yeah, you can totally pick him up. He'll fill that spot. Obviously, may not get you the same production as the Seth Jarvis, but that is the next man up. Hey, D Stu. Next up, Frank Nazar, Chicago Blackhawks, out for the next 4 weeks with an upper body injury. So with that, we're now down Connor Bedard. We're now down Frank Nazar. So Ryan Green is your 1C between Tyler Bertuzzi and Burakovsky. He does not get power play 1, though. So take that what you will. Honestly, at that point, I think I'd rather look to other teams if you're trying to replace that value. JT Miller, week to week after sustaining an upper body injury in Saturday's game. Supposedly, this does not affect his Olympics participation, even though the Olympics doesn't really have anything to do with fantasy. That was just part of the statement. And then next up, we got the Flyers, Dan Vladar, day-to-day with an upper body injury. So Sam Ersson, goalie for the time being. Another big piece of Columbus Blue Jackets news. Werenski is day-to-day after blocking a shot from Troy Terry. No broken bones, though, thankfully, just day-to-day. But the Blue Jackets only have 2 games this week, but we'll get to that soon enough. And then huge returns, huge news for the New Jersey Devils. Hopefully y'all got notifications that he is back, but it does look like Jack Hughes is set to return today. And then I retweeted it yesterday. Timo Meier is back from his personal leave. And then Arseny Gritsyuk is back. Unfortunately, I don't think Gritsyuk gets power play 1 back. It looks like they have enough cooks in the kitchen that they don't need to give that back to him. But it is, he is now an option. Hopefully, he at least gets the top 6 time. I know he was cooking even before. Yeah, John Riley. I do agree. I feel like somehow they do need to give Demidov more minutes, especially if they want him to be successful. So with that, get into the schedule. Not a whole lot here. Again, there's 3 days of just 0 games. It is as if there is, I don't know, I've heard there is some major gift giving holiday or something this coming week. I've never heard of it till now. So Monday and Sunday are only off days. Monday we got 4 games, Sunday we got 5, and then Tuesday, Saturday we got 13. So no games in between. I don't know. I guess as far as strategy, really, a couple different ways to do this. You can just kind of treat this like 2 different back-to-backs. I don't know if you're in categories leagues, if it's almost worth more to you to use your ads to try to make sure you meet your goalie minimums. And I do have a couple suggestions on goalie streams that most likely those guys should get 2 starts, and they're very, very lowly owned. Um, but the best schedules, your off nights leaders, you got Philly, Seattle, Tampa, um, all 3 with 3 games, 2 off nights, and then a few other teams with 3 games in there: Chicago, Detroit, LA, New York Islanders, and Toronto. And then your worst schedules, 2 teams with both just 1 games, and I believe they're both on busy nights. Let me scroll down the bottom here. Yeah, Winnipeg only plays Saturday, and then Utah only plays Colorado on Tuesday. Yeah, that's a tough ask to hold a lot of those Utah players. And even Winnipeg, yeah. Like Cole for Petty. That's a new one. Names are hard and made up. Yeah, Cole Perfetti, you could probably jettison him. Iafallo, yeah, jettison him. Utah, I mean, a lot of those guys, unless they're one of those top guys, you can jettison them. That's things I think in one of my leagues I saw someone pick up Dursey, who again heating up. I see why they picked them up, but yeah, Dursey for 1 game next week. Yikes. That was I don't know. The Kraken has no offense. I mean, you're not entirely wrong, but I do feel like there are a couple of decent guys worth a look for next week. But I still think Seattle belongs in that top tier. But yeah, first up, yeah, tier 1 streamers, Philly. Actually, the streamers I'd recommend are 2 of the 3 of them are D-men, like Travis Sanheim, Cam York, both D-men, but they both seem to be on power play 1. They're running 2 D-men on that power play 1, at least as recently as I saw. Cam York, though, 4% owned, 2 points in 4 games played. And just go check on Michkov. I know he's dropped a bit. He was ice cold for a while. I feel like his time on ice could just be better. But he's still getting power play 1. It just then brings me to Seattle. Eli Tolvanen, 13% should be widely available. I know I've picked him up in a couple spots. He is getting that prime deployment line 1. I think he is like the one left wing after they traded Marchment with Schwartz out. Like he is their left wing depth. But yeah, he does all hits, blocks, shots. And then line 1, power play 1, which I thought was weird. Seattle seems to actually be running a pretty committed power play 1 now, with Dunn quarterbacking that top unit. But yeah, to me, Tolvanen, if you can't get him, I'm not as interested in some of the other streams there. Jordan Eberle, probably the only other forward I'm super interested in. Yeah, you got Chandler Stevenson out there. I think is kind of the 1C, Capo Caco. Some of those, a lot of the guys that are widely available, just throw a dart. Most of these guys are. I think the only 2 guys that were above 50% last time Seattle had a good schedule was Brandon Montour and Vince Dunn, whatever. But actually, another guy I always like, especially in your categories leagues or bangers points leagues where those riffs are worth a lot, Adam Larson. Only 6% defenseman. You're gonna have a good, easy time get it. I feel like defensemen are easier to get in on busy days, too. Does a lot of peripherals, and he does stumble backwards into that occasional assist. Very deep cut, but with Brandon Montour out, Riker Evans is on that power play too. Sounds like he's been looking good on it. I don't know. Hopefully this doesn't mean that Brandon Montour gets knocked off power play 2 when he comes back, because bad news for Montour owners. Like I own him in 1 spot, which is even worse because again, it seems like Seattle has been running a pretty committed power play 1. And then the last tier 1 team, Tampa. I feel like the priority grab here, Oliver Bjorkstrand. Even when they have all their forwards healthy, he is a lock in the top 6. He's pretty much a lock for power play 1, even over Brandon Hagel, which I know is a disappointment for a lot of people. And he does, I think he he's one of those guys that does hit a little. And then Anthony Sorelli, I forget, I didn't put his ownership percentage, whatever. He's probably more in just go check territory. I know center, probably going to be a hard guy to get on the busy day or days. His value does take a hit with Brandon Hagel out, but they are going to give him the talented wingers. Like, definitely sort of dozen or so games in, they finally realized like Kucherov doesn't do as well with finesse players. He really needs the guys like Sorelli, Hagel with him. He needs grit players. He does better with grit guys. So he's been playing with Hagel and Sorelli for a little bit now, which is nice. And it looks like in this most recent game against Carolina, they were rolling a top line of Point, Sorelli, Cooch. I'm hoping that line sticks just enough to give Point left wing. It'll be almost just as broken as when they gave Malkin left wing. And I got to say, to Yahoo's credit, for as many things as they've gotten majorly wrong this season, they do seem to be churning out a lot of position eligibility updates. Again, another reason to kind of follow us on Twitter. I try to get those out kind of as quickly as Yahoo updates them. But yeah, Israeli, again, kind of hard to get him in on the busy day or days, but yeah, definitely the 1C right now. And kind of a deep cut. Oh yeah. I'll get to that in a minute actually. And then again, kind of a deep cut defenseman, but he'll be easier to get in on the busier days. But JJ Moser, he'll give you some riffs. Again, point upside there. He has had some points in the last few games. Kind of playing top pair. Actually, I think the top pairing is like Moser Radish right now, with Hedman out again with some term. Another really deep cut. I think he's quarterbacking power play 2 is Destu. He does seem to have it seems like he's got a little bit of chemistry with Kucherov. He gets assists in weird places. Seems to shoot a little bit, which is nice. You always like D-men that do that. And then, before we get to the tier 2 streamers, I got John Riley here again. Yeah, they only gave Perfetti 8 minutes. I wonder if that was the game where they moved Perfetti down to like 4th line. Then it was like 3rd line, and then they just benched him for the rest of the game. Yeah, Perfetti has just been disappointment, which is why I really thought Winnipeg was going to go and get Marchment. That was the rumor. So it was kind of a surprise when Columbus somehow got Marchment, especially at the price they paid. I don't even think they paid. It was a draft pick from the 26 draft that they paid to get Marchment. I think it was it was like a second rounder in the 27 draft. Probably because, no, I don't think Winnipeg is a cap team. They should have had cap space. I don't know. Again, I just said Winnipeg made sense. Marchment would have been another Ehlers. Why he didn't end up there, we may not know for another week or two. So tier 2 teams. First up, I have the LA Kings here. Anze Kopitar, again, center only. And he may have to watch out for his health. I know he kind of stayed behind on this little road trip here, but he is 35% owned. You may have trouble getting him in again on the Tuesday and Saturday games as he is a pure center. But he is, especially with Dano out, man, his ice time probably, well, actually, this is probably good news for Byfield. Byfield's ice time probably shoots up as a result of the Dano trade. Kopitar, a lock for line 1, power play 1. Just go check on Drew Doughty, 45%. He is power play 1 quarterback for now. It looks like they maybe truly have given up on that 5-forward power play. Maybe hopefully some of these other teams will give up on that. Kuzmenko, 4% owned. That's a lottery ticket. High risk, high reward. He is just a power play specialist, even strength, line 3. Prone to getting scratched. Again, that is, if you're looking that far down, either hopefully your league is just either very deep, or this is where you maybe look to other teams at that point. Alex Leferrier, line 1, 13% owned. That's where I'd go him over Kuzmenko, or I'd move to some of these other teams. Next up, New York Islanders. I do kind of like their schedule. New Jersey, although they just may have gotten more dangerous with some of these players coming back. The New York Rangers, who are now down JT Miller week to week, and then the Columbus Blue Jackets. Emil Heineman, down to 33%. I understand he really hadn't done much in the last few weeks, but I'm assuming the categories and bangers points leagues kept his ownership afloat. But come on, guys, 1 goal, 1 assist on Saturday. He's back. And left wing, right wing fills a couple spots, and then Leon Holmstrom up with Barzal, at least on Saturday. Both those guys should be widely available. But yeah, probably not a team I give preference to trying to stream from, except for Heineman. Where I've been able to have him, he's just been in like a season long hold for me because those peripherals are great most weeks. Chicago, I don't know. I kind of like 2 of their 3 teams they play. They play Philly, Dallas, Pittsburgh, man. First, they give up 2 games in a row of 3 goal leads. Now they get shut out 2 games in a row. I'm hoping they at least make it competitive today, because I was really hoping that both of those Pittsburgh Montreal games were just going to be like 6-5, 5-4, just slugfests that were going to be filled with goals and just make all these fantasy matchups interesting. They've been interesting for someone, but it's not anyone that's probably been picked up in most leagues. Connor Bedard, only player over 50%. My only concern with going to Chicago players is that they have a goals for per game of 1.63 over the last 2 weeks. That does not inspire confidence. So yeah, there are worse teams than the Kraken in terms of offense to choose from. But if you do want to take your chances here, I would just go check on Tyler Bertuzzi. He's probably kind of the priority ad here, 46%. Artem Levchinov, 10%. He is your quarterback for power play 1 there. But personally, where I've had him, I've dropped him. I feel like in 10-team leagues, you might be able to get someone a little better. Andrei Burakovsky, 9%. Colton Dach, if you need some bangs, and he is currently getting power play 1. I don't know how long that holds. I included these guys because if you want just a nice pickup that'll completely miss the busy days to try to clear up some of your studs for the Tuesday, Saturday, Columbus. They only play on the Monday, Sunday. And they play LA and New York. So I don't know. Those are 2 teams that play very defense first, very stifling play styles. So I don't know how many goals you're going to get out of these teams, out of Columbus. But obviously, Mason Marchment, the new guy on the block, just like I mentioned, 9%. Should be widely available. May even turn into a longer-term hold for you. Ivan Provorov, 8%. He, should, is the key word there, get power play 1 if Zach Werenski misses any kind of time and covers categories for you. The only other person I can think of who might get power play 1 is Damon Severson, but he is terrible. So I don't see. I think it's always been Provorov. Boone you also have covers categories, just kind of does it all. Not getting as prime deployment as he used to, but that's because they actually have options on this team now. He doesn't have to be the 1C anymore, which is crazy to think about. But Zach Werenski and Marchenko were the only players on this team above 50%. So you got a lot of guys to choose from to kind of pad out your off days here. But I would say, another kind of priority. I don't know if he's the priority ad, but definitely like a nice prime deployment ad here. You got Adam Fantilli right at just go check territory, 44%. Line 1, power play 1. And like I said earlier, he was top line with Kent Johnson and Mason Marchment. I don't know, again, if that sticks. The Dean Evanson may mix things up a little bit going into Monday just to see how things fit. He may try different people with Marchment just to see how things work out. Goalie streams, not a lot here. Only couple of guys I could find that may help you hit your minimums that seems like might get at least 2 starts. Sam Emerson on the Flyers, he's only 4%, so should be widely available. Yeah, Vladar is going to miss any kind of significant amount of time because let's see, let's go back up here. I think Philly, they got a back-to-back start the week. I like those matchups. Vancouver, Chicago, and then they play Seattle at the end of the week. Very, very winnable games. And then Anton Forsberg, whose reports of mediocrity by maybe myself may have been greatly exaggerated, as they completely shut down the Lightning a few days ago. Maybe Forsberg might be a pickup. I know it got dominated by Vancouver. I don't know. I'd say, and that's that's why I love hockey though. Like even the worst teams beat the best teams on any given night. But Demko's just been another level since coming back from injury. Because Lankinen played last night against Boston. I just Anton Forsberg, I'd say if you need goalie help, since it sounds like Kemper is going to be out for a minute, you could probably do worse than Forsberg at the moment. But those are the only two guys I could really see that were bound to get 2 starts, very lowly owned, that were, widely available. That is it, man. Again, everyone out, I wanted to make the show nice, short and sweet for you. Not a lot to it. Thanks again for those of you who tuned in, and for everyone listening. Hopefully, again, make this short and sweet for you so you get back to whatever you're doing. For everyone out there, wrapping up, celebrating. Hopefully, you got to spend some nice time with your family, your loved ones. We will see you Saturday. We're Sit Start Saturday. And then we'll be back this time next week for the Week 13 script. Happy holiday, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Joyous Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate again. Hope you enjoy the time with your family and loved ones. Good day and good mental health, everyone.